Lou, your team. Give them some hope, man.
There's no hope. There's no hope. There's no hope. Listen. Daniel Jones look horrible. Yeah, I don't see this 1.5. It don't matter. We lost. It's gonna be some new way the Giants are gonna find to lose. I guarantee you, it's gonna be some new way we have yet to see in the NFL the way the Giants lose. So get your popcorn ready. Uh, yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all, and welcome to another edition of Homie Picks. It is me, it is Blue, it is Ben. Fellas, what it do? How y'all feeling?
Oh, bro, waiting for another Sunday to see my picks go sideways.
Lou, I know you feeling. We're going to talk about you in a few, but how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Another good week, 4-1. I'll take it. It was a good, it was a good week. My Giants, I need to put like a fortune teller's hat, rub the crystal ball, because I said
Oh,
it.
you are going to be the new Swami. Like I know Chris
Right.
Berman was the Swami on ESPN. Nah, you are going to be the Swami because like you're definitely starting off the season lightning hot. Picks are on fire. Um, but you know, I can't. The fact that you said the Giants will find a new way to lose, and it happened, is one of the most bold and also predicted. I wished there was a Vegas stat on that. Like I
Oh,
wish there was a Vegas betting line on that. You would have struck gold. You would have struck
right.
gold. That
But if there was a line like no touchdowns allowed, but still lose the game, God.
how Lou, I should you should be the host because that shit is amazing. Like that's just you're on fire with that one. So
I said,
how do you feel? How does it feel to be that right and and feel that wrong about your team?
I mean, it's indicative of how the season's going to go, right? Like I called it. Like this is going to be one of the hardest seasons for the Giants. I think it started with being on Hard Knocks in the off season. We know Hard Knocks always has a little bit of a juju they put on these teams going into the season, and then some of the stuff I saw in there was just head scratching. So I don't have any faith in them. I keep saying it week over week, and they're just going to have to prove me wrong. And so far they haven't. I think it shows the lack of aptitude when you know your kicker has a groin injury and you don't sign the backup, or like you don't have a punter that can hit a field goal. Like, come on, you got to make those adjustments, especially early in the season. And the Giants only seem to adjust to losing all types of ways. So, first team in history to score 3 touchdowns and not allow a touchdown but still lose. It's mind boggling that stat. You lost a kicker. Essentially, your whole team lost a kicker.
It's
One guy.
impressive. It's impressive.
One man,
One guy.
one man should not have all that power. Word to Kanye. Um, so, as surprising as that is, uh, what so far has been the biggest surprise to y'all so far in this season?
Um,
Ben, what's your biggest surprise so far?
I would have to say the Vikings, to be quite honest. I didn't expect them to come out as playing as well as they have so far. Big props to their coach, because I mean Darnold, Darnold. You thought he was just gonna be a perennial backup, but I mean he's keeping them in contention, and he pulled off that big upset against the Niners. I mean that was impressive.
Yeah, Lou, what's your biggest surprise so far?
I know what yours is going to be, so I'm gonna stay away from that one. I'm just gonna say it's the Chargers. The Chargers starting off 2-0. Crazy. They lost all their receivers. You know, they dropped their deadweight coach, and yet they're still 2-0 going into a very good matchup against another 2-0 team. So, you know, we'll get to see, you know, 2-0 Chargers repping the Vikings, right? They play the Vikings.
No,
No,
they're
who they play?
playing. The Chargers are playing Pittsburgh this week.
Pittsburgh. It's another 2-0 team. So,
That,
yeah, the 2-0 Chargers are probably my biggest surprise so far this year.
For me, for me, it would have to be the 2-0 Saints. I did not see them
Hold on, we're not going to
being
talk about the 0-2
okay.
Baltimore Ravens.
What was that?
We're not going to talk about the 0-2 Baltimore Ravens as your biggest surprise. Because
Yeah,
I thought
that's
that
the
was going to be a
goddamn
big
biggest
surprise.
surprise to me. All right, my Baltimore Ravens are really the biggest surprise. I can't believe that
Yeah,
crap.
because
Like I really cannot.
I remember somebody saying they're going undefeated after that first loss. I don't know who that was, but
I remember somebody saying Aaron Rodgers look average. So
yeah, I must say he did good this week. He finally
my
was moving
goodness,
out the pocket. He was moving out the pocket. Let's see if he can pull it off again. But this week
nah,
he looked much better. First 2 weeks it was there.
nah, I get it. Nah, for me, nah, it's really between those. Like, it's not even between those two. It really is both. Like, I didn't think the Saints would be any good. I strongly don't think any team led by Derek Carr could be good. I just didn't think that. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. But even more surprising is how they're 2-0 and the Ravens are 0-2 is just mind-boggling. I I thought after you lose to the Chiefs, you would take all that anger and aggression and beat the dog shit out of the Raiders. Um, and it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Max Crosby was playing out of his freaking skull. Uh, they and honestly, shout out to Antonio Pierce, coach of the Raiders. Since he took over, he's had that team playing some pretty good football. So most definitely credit and shout out to him. But a coach can only coach but so much, but those players are playing hard for him. Um, I I still think Devontae Adams is a better quarterback, but um, but at the same time, to do what you did against the Ravens at Baltimore is just, it's pretty crazy. And you know, uh how the hell are the Pittsburgh Steelers in the lead of the division is
It's that
the
defense, bro.
it's a team that has Russell Wilson on it. Come on, man. I
You
don't
know
care.
why? It's because Russ is in the sidelines. That's why. He's
Like,
the cheerleader. It's working. It's working. He's the
bro,
cheerleader.
maybe they're showing highlights of Sierra shows in the pregame. I don't know, man. It's ridiculous. This is a weird season so far. Um, but this is why they play the game, right?
Yep.
And speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, first game we're talking about is Dallas at Baltimore. Oh, sorry, Baltimore at Dallas. Where somehow, some way, my Ravens are the 1.5 point favorite currently. It's really a pick 'em game. Baltimore favorite 1.5, 112 money line. Over under so far is 47.5. Customary person whose team it is goes last. So I go last on this one. Um, Lou, how do the Cowboys win this game?
So,
They
so,
probably are.
so the Giants fan in me is definitely going to root against the Cowboys here, especially after what the Saints did to them. Man, they showed you can open up a can of whoop ass against that team and beat them like they stole something. And I think this has to be Baltimore's statement game because you don't want to be that team to start 0-3. The stats don't back up those teams to get their chances into the playoffs. It's going to be a very hard hole climb out of 0-3. So I think they go into Dallas and make a statement. I think Lamar probably has one of his best games of the year. Um, I think Mark Andrews finally comes alive in this game, and they just get after Dak and make him look vulnerable. So I'm picking Baltimore to put the Dallas a little deeper into that hole that I like to see them in.
Ben, how do you see it?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, both teams are sputtering a little bit. Dallas just got smacked at home. They're usually a pretty good home team, but they just really don't have a lot like offensive wise. Like their running backs basically non-existent. CD is a little hurt, but I think he's gonna play. But yeah, I have to lean towards the Ravens in this one. Just I feel like the Ravens are gonna come out like, they've been embarrassed at home. They lost against the Chiefs that revenge game, so I think they're gonna be coming out with their hair on fire. I think they're probably gonna establish Henry this time around. They still haven't done that as far so far yet. And I just feel like the Ravens defense is a little bit loose right now, but maybe they'll tighten it up this week. I mean, basically they just have to focus really on CD. Um, yeah, I like Baltimore. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they blow them out, but it should be a fun game. But yeah, I think Baltimore comes on top. Like Lou said, I think um Lamar has a really good game, a statement game on this one, and I feel like personally the Ravens need this win more than the Cowboys because the Cowboys are playing in the weaker NFC East. They can still recover. But in the AFC, this it's very top heavy. So if you start falling behind too much, it's hard to come back. So yeah, I'll take the Ravens on this one.
Only three teams have won a Super Bowl after starting 0-2. And currently, right now, the 0-2 teams are Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tennessee, Ben's Colts, Jacksonville, Panthers, the Broncos, Blues Giants, and the Rams. Um, Something has to give. Baltimore needs this win. Um, but I could also see Dallas winning this game too. Um, like both teams really are in a panic. And it shouldn't be a panic 3 weeks into the season. But when you're one of those teams that are a um, perennial playoff team, even if you don't win the first round or whatever your first game is, or you do get to the championship game or whatever, just be a perennial team that get to the playoffs and be 0-2 is kind of crazy. Um, Especially when you're not bad teams. Like these both teams are not bad teams. It is, but it's surreal. It's real surreal. Um, my heart my heart really wants to go Baltimore. Um, and the only reason why I'm going to lean Baltimore is not because I'm a Ravens fan, but because we seem to have really good history anytime we play against Dallas. Now, of course, history doesn't always mean you're going to have perfect history, but historically, Baltimore plays Dallas really good. Um, I don't see that being any different this go around. Um, so just for that, I think 1.5 is kind of appropriate because no team really has a really good advantage. Both teams can put up points in bunches. Um, but both teams really aren't doing it right now. So you saw what the Saints did to Dallas. Baltimore has the potential to do the same thing the Saints did to them. So I'm going to lean Baltimore, but I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore ekes it out by a field goal, like a last second field goal. Um, Speaking of which, Lou, you had an interesting stat you mentioned. What was the stat again about the top six teams?
Yeah, so the top 16, the spread wise last week, all lost. Literally all lost. So that's crazy. We had, let me see if I can pull it up from last week. We had Baltimore, Dallas. You can't find it, but I'm gonna get it and I'll put it up. I'll put it up. But yeah, all the top teams that were all the way from 8.5 to 6-point favorites, all lost. It's crazy in the sports world to see all those teams not cover their lines.
San Fran was one of those teams,
San
Yeah,
Fran
yeah,
which
San Fran.
free.
we did not
Oh,
see. I
Philly,
know, and none of us really saw that
Philly
coming.
lost.
I'm
Philadelphia
sorry, what
lost.
was that?
Philly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Philly.
so
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because I actually went to Philly. I went to Philly the next day after the game, because I had to help a friend out in Philly, and I got a cheesesteak. I mean, I ain't gonna. Well, nah, I'm gonna plug them because that cheesesteak was hitting, boy. If you
where'd you
ever
go?
go to Philly, I went to Max's.
Okay,
Yeah, if you ever go to Philly, you hit Max's up. Max's is the spot right now for me. Like I like Delisandro's, but Max's was hitting, boy. But anyway, it was hilarious the amount of Falcon fans that were in there. Wearing, I mean, some were wearing old Vic jerseys too, but in there talking smack to all the Eagles fans and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, y'all in Philly, y'all bold, but especially because most of them were flying back to Atlanta right after they had to hit that spot up. But it's always fun to see. And that was just random chance to see that, but it's funny to see away fans go to a home crowd, uh, and just have that kind of energy.
yep.
Like especially in a town like Philly where it's rough, but it's fun to see that engagement. And honestly, I think even with that discourse, it's super fun, and that's kind of why sports is what it is. It really gets that kind of engagement between us. Like we have a lot of hotbed stuff like politics and other kind of things that people get hot about. But sports is one of those things that you see the energy of people, and naturally the energy of people. It's pretty cool. Um, Moving to our second game. Speaking about Philly, Philly is going against those dominant New Orleans Saints. And the Saints are a 2.5 point favorite, uh, minus 154, and the over under is even higher than Baltimore Dallas at 49.5. Uh, Ben, how do you see this game unfolding?
Well, I'm look, the Saints, nice start. They beat Carolina. I mean, it is what it is. You got to beat the teams in front of you. They had a nice win with Dallas, but I've seen this before from Derek Carr. He can have a hot streak when they're putting up massive points, and then he'll just fall off a cliff again. I feel like Philly is probably gonna win this game. I'm gonna pick Philly on this one just because they just lost that game. Final drive against Atlanta. They probably be gonna play a little with a little bit more urgency this week to probably feed Saquon a little bit more. Um, and again, the Saints is don't get me wrong, the Saints are doing a good job, but ultimately they're one of the oldest teams in the league. It's really how long can they sustain this? Um, Phillies, the front is pretty good, but their back end is weak. So we got to see what happens with that. But I have to lean with Philly in this one. I think Philly edges them out.
Uh, Lou, home state, well, it's current state,
Yeah.
team. Where you're at, are there more Steelers fans or Eagles fans?
Ravens fans.
Really, Ravens fans?
Wow.
Oh,
I'm
sweet.
I'm
Um,
on Baltimore, so you get a lot of the. But there's a lot of Steelers gear, Eagles gear. I think you see more Eagles and Ravens than Steelers. Um,
right.
yeah,
Okay. So if you happen to pick against Philly, it ain't gonna do no harm to you. Good. So
yeah.
how do you see this game going?
I'm actually going to go with New Orleans. I think what they're doing right now I think they got I believe it's the offensive coordinator they just brought in that using that team the way they need to be used. You see a lot of Derek Carr getting rid of the ball quickly, making quick decisions. You know, they're checking all the boxes. This might be the surprise team of the year, and they're their home. And Eagles look very beatable. Like they look horrible. There's no reason in the world why Kirk Cousins took a team down the field with a minute 20 left and scored a touchdown in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
On prime time. We all know Kirk Cousins' record on prime time. He goes away when the lights are brightest. And I don't know, maybe the Philly lights were dim that night, but they look very beatable. And Saquon dropping that pass just made my night. You know, all that talk about how Saquon is the missing link, and then he's what they missed. He's what they needed, and just to drop that pass on the 30 short, it gave me a nice little chuckle at the end of that game. So I'm picking New Orleans, and I think they win this game probably by like a field goal.
Of all the memes that came from last week, I think one of the funniest ones, and I'm sorry for your Giants that they were part of this one, but it was you can take the man off the Giants, but you can't take the Giants out the man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
that was a very Giant-esque thing to do at the end of the game. There, just take your eye off the ball. Before, like, why are you looking to run first? Like, secure the catch and then move your ass.
It's hilarious, but you know, to Ben's point, they are one of the oldest teams. And yes, we have all learned, we have all learned, as long as we've been doing this show, we've all learned you cannot trust Derek Carr. However, I think while the lightning is hot, while the iron is hot, they got to keep striking. Um, keep feeding Alvin Kamara. That really is what you need to do. Keep feeding Kamara. Like I'm in no shape or form is Dallas defense, Philly's defense. Philly has a better defense, I feel. But I just keep feeding that beast. Um, Derek Carr is making good throws now. I don't feel that's going to be the same thing come week 8. Um, but I while it's going for what it is right now, I like New Orleans. I like New Orleans to win this game as well. Um, I think they have what it takes to beat Philly. I think if this game happened maybe later in the season, I would definitely choose Philly. But while the Saints are playing good, and not really slowing down at this moment, uh, keep going. Philly could be suffering uh, from a little bit of jet lag, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit of Brazil loss. Maybe want to go back to Brazil. Recover, rejuvenate. Dance a little bit inside the clubs, but and go to the favelas. But nah, I think Philly will be okay. As the season progresses. But like right now, I think New Orleans kind of has the hot hand, and until they face somebody that I think uh, if they were to face the Niners, I think they would kind of be grounded a little bit. But until something like that was to happen, I think I have a good chance that Philly's going to win. I think even 2.5 is appropriate. I think they win by 3. Um, I don't know if they're going to be scoring 44 in them that either. I think high 20s, maybe low 30s is what I'm seeing for that game. Um, Next up, surprisingly, and we all, Danny Trayman, has been a guest on the show, which we'll have him back some point this season. Loyal Vikings fan, I had a conversation with him recently, and he was like, "So you sleeping on my Vikings, huh?" Slept hard, so and they are hosting the pretty damn good Houston Texans. So I think this is going to be a pretty good game. Right now, Houston is a 1.5 point favorite, uh, minus 130, and 45 and a half point spread. Um, yeah, I ain't see Minnesota being this okay, this good. Um, I thought they'd been the basement team, but the Chicago Bears always seem to prove me wrong to
They
to
like
want
to
to be
come
the
through, bro.
basement team. So, I thought they would have been a basement team, but it is what it is. Um, for what it is, I gotta respect it. I think somebody said something to Garrett Wilson about, no, sorry, said something to Justin Jefferson about Garrett Wilson and said respectfully, I'm not him. And that man showed and proved. Um, it just shows what Minnesota can do if they're consistent. Um, but that's something about this league. Any kind of wide receiver, you can have a damn good game one week and not that great of a game the next week. Some do. It's not really often when you see it happen like that. I think Justin Jefferson is a once in a lifetime talent, and that's saying that amongst Tariq Hills and Devontae Adams of the world. I think all these guys, Stephon Diggs, I think all these guys are once in a lifetime kind of talents. They're all spectacular in their own right. Jamar Chase too. Um, I think they're all sensational talents. So at any given time, they can just go off. But I think doing what they did last week is going to make Houston pay more attention to that. Um, Houston has the very much ability to get to the quarterback. And I think CJ Stroud is going to have a really good game. So with that, sorry, Danny, but I am going to pick Houston. I think Houston wins this one. I think Houston wins this by a touchdown. They struggled against the Bears, which is surreal to me. But and that's with a shit throwing Caleb Williams. That's like that man cannot. For a thrower, he can't throw. That's crazy. But I think Houston tightens up this week, and I think they beat the Vikings. Um, Lou, what you thinking for this game?
You guys know where I stand. I'm taking Houston Texans to go to the Super Bowl. I think this is Travis Darno's seeing ghost game part two. Uh, this Texas team is fast. They're hungry. I mean, they can put up points in a hurry. I mean, they got weapons all over the place on this team. Joe Mixon looks revitalized. Stephon Diggs doesn't have to play that hero role, so he fits in nicely, just doing what he does. And CJ Stroud is like my early pick for MVP. So I think this is a divisional game. This is where you need to make a statement, like put the pedal to the metal. Um, and
Houston.
take Houston. I'm taking Houston. I mean, they're probably. I think in my opinion, they might be the top team in the NFC this year.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Ben, what you thinking? I know you want them to lose badly, but go on.
Of course I do. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're off to a good start. CJ, he's making the plays when they need him to make the plays right now. But coming into this week, I believe Mixon is out. Their second running back, Pierce, is out. So I think Cam Akers is going to be their main running back, and I don't know who's their fallback after that. So their run game might be a little bit limited this time around. They did struggle with a pretty good defense with the Bears. The Vikings is not the Bears defense, but they have an adequate defense. They can't get after the passer. I'm gonna take the Vikings in this one. I feel like they're gonna squeak out a win in this one. They're playing in Minnesota. CJ is good, but on the road he's I'm gonna say he's bad, but he's just slightly under his average when he's out on the road. Um, and like I said, he's just done just enough to win the last couple of games. I mean, he sneaked out a close win with the Colts. He's got a close win with the Bears, and both of them are not great teams right now. So the Vikings are playing much better than those two teams. So just because of that, I feel like if Darnold can manage the game, just stay away from big mistakes and just feed the ball to Jefferson, I think they have a good shot. So I like the Vikings here.
Okay. Um, so I mean, I think that's a nice pretty prediction right there. Um, but do you see any of that management gonna help the Atlanta Falcons out against Kansas City? Because Lord knows the Falcons gonna need every damn thing in the world to help them beat this team. Uh, Kansas City at Atlanta. Uh, Surprise, surprise. KC is a favorite by 3 points only.
Mm.
Uh, Negative 196, sorry, 176, 46.5 point favorites. Sorry, over under. Um, who would have thought the KC would be 3 point favorite over the Falcons? But that also goes to show you that KC, I just feel KC is just not that good or dominant anymore. But Lou, how do you see this one going?
I mean, the Falcons barely got out of Philly with a win. Luck of the draw there. Um, I love Bijan. I love what they have with him. I think Drake London is probably one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league, which he showed up big in that game. And I'm still going to pick KC on this one, even with all the injuries they have. You can't, unless Pat Mahomes isn't throwing the ball, you can't pick against them. I know they lost Pacheco. They have a couple injuries banging up. I think Xavier Worthy steps up this game. We saw a little bit of that in the first game of the season, so I think we're gonna get a lot more of him. Um, and I think they cover. I think they cover this one 3.5, 3.
3.
Yeah, they cover. They cover that. I'm taking the Chiefs on that.
Benny, how do you see that?
Uh, I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think you can win them all. I think this probably is a game that KC could lose. I'm gonna pick the Falcons here in this one. Again, Falcons big win for them. I think in the second half, they started to play a little bit better. Cousins started to feel a little more comfortable and started to move a little bit better. I think he wasn't feeling it that well with the Achilles thing. Probably was a mental thing, but Atlanta has good running backs. That's one of the things that KC struggles with is the run game. And and right now KC lost their running back, so it's like they're gonna be airing it out. And the Falcons have a good secondary. So if Pat makes a mistake, they can't get a turnover. Travis Kelce hasn't been doing much lately, and it's just been the Rashid Rice show. So other than him, they don't really have a dependable wide receiver at the moment. And I believe some of their defensive pieces are hurt. Um, Atlanta has a good line. Um, KC does have a decent pass rush, but they haven't been getting to the quarterback much, at least in these first two games. I It's gonna be a close game. It probably again down to the wire, but I have to lean to Atlanta here. I mean, it's in Atlanta. This is a team that they don't play each other that much, so I'm gonna give this one to Atlanta. I think this is like one of those type of games that KC can lose. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling like 100% on this one, but I'm just giving the home field advantage here. And after that big win, I think they're gonna come in very confident. So I'll take Atlanta here.
It's amazing what one win can do for somebody's confidence. And I think it'll be no different here. Atlanta could easily be 0-2 and they're 1-1. Um, to gut out that kind of victory on Monday Night Football is, nothing short of impressive. Um, and when we know when lights are hot, Kirk Cousins gets burning. So Sunday Night Football, you know, all America's watching you too again. So I mean, who would have thought that Atlanta would be on back-to-back primetime games? But yeah, here we are. 2024. But I for the same reasons that you said, Ben, um, KC struggles against the run like that. My only concern is those damn zebras, man. It's the zebras. It's the zebras when KC is down and out, needs help and trouble, those zebras tap him out, man. So, it's bigger than Andy Reid. I mean, I heard the interview that Travis did with his brother on the show. His brother, and he was saying that they need to not make it close. But KC is just not that team like they once were, I feel. Nobody really fears them as they used to, like that. They still respect them as a great team, but I don't think people look at KC like the ultimate dominating team anymore. They look at him as the team that's good but has a lot of help, and not just because of their on the field actions. So I'm also going to go with that shock that Atlanta does win this game. Um, I think Atlanta wins this game, and it's going to be a close one as well. Um, which may not be good for Atlanta because if it's close, zebras might throw that shit, make it a KC game. But hey, this is why we play the game. The surprise, one of the surprises for me this year is definitely that Pittsburgh team being 2-0. Um, you know, uh, I want them to go 0 forever, but I guess it's not on my side. Nonetheless, they got a real tough test coming into town, though. The Los Angeles Chargers, Pittsburgh Steelers. Uh, Pittsburgh, however, is a 3-point favorite. Uh, Negative 156, 34 and a half point over under. Um, Ben, how do you see this one faring out, man? Because I don't know how to call it yet.
I see this being an ugly, ugly game. Harbaugh wants to run it. Pittsburgh has a good defense, so we're gonna see how that works out for them. I believe Herbert is hurt. He might not play. He's doubtful, so I don't even know who their backup is. But just because of that little announcement there, I would have to pick Pittsburgh just because of that defense. I think Justin is doing just enough right now. He's played better in week 2 than week 1 for sure. Um, yeah, I mean it's going to be a tough game. I mean, two really good head coaches, and like I said, Pittsburgh's defense is really legit right now. Although the Chargers defense has picked it up as well, which is one of the surprises why they're doing so well. But their running attack is really what's kept them afloat because they've kind of have Justin Herbert just managing the game more than anything. They haven't asked him to do too much, but just because of him being out, I'll give the advantage to Pittsburgh just because I feel like Fields is probably a better quarterback than whatever San Diego pulls out there right now. Oh, I'm sorry, LA pulls out there. But yeah, I have to go with Pittsburgh. Low scoring affair for sure. It's probably a boring game, but yeah, Pittsburgh probably wins this one out.
No, what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, with Justin Herbert being doubtful, like it's a scary thing for him being out. Uh, West Coast teams definitely usually have difficulty coming to the East Coast and playing in that time slot, especially that 1 o'clock time slot. Um, let's ride. Let's ride. I'm going with Pittsburgh. I mean, they got the ultimate cheerleader on the sidelines there, full uniform every week. The strained calf. It's kind of wild. Like we ain't gonna play, bro. You know that, right? Yeah, I think,
Ah,
and the X factor for me in this is TJ Watt. Like that man is dangerous. No matter where he lines up, like you always have to account for him. And I don't think the LA Chargers have the offensive line to keep him in check. I think he runs wild and sacks whatever quarterback is back there the whole game. So yeah, I'm running straight on Pittsburgh defense to carry them this one.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for Los Angeles. Justin Herbert has a bad ankle. The last thing I've seen is said the ankle doesn't look good, so there is a
Yeah.
possibility he doesn't play this game. Um, I would like to call this Baltimore West since they do have two of our former running backs in J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and Khalil Mack also on that team as well. So I think it is. I agree. It's going to be an ugly game because I think it's going to be a defensive game no matter what. I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. I definitely would pick under 34 and a half if I was to be betting on that game. Um, but yeah, I will never pick Pittsburgh, so I'm gonna go with Los Angeles. I will never pick them. The backup for there's the two backups for Justin Herbert. Easton Stick. Who would have ever heard of Easton Stick?
I've heard the
That
name
that sounds
before.
like that sounds like a plausible name, by the way, too. But and Taylor Heineke. We all know that name.
Okay, okay.
That's decent, but I will say Pittsburgh is doing pretty good. Um, Pittsburgh is doing pretty good. Justin Fields is doing what he should have been doing with the Bears. But I would just say same player, better coach. So you know, more established coach. So he's getting what he needs to get out of Justin Fields. TJ Watt is an absolute animal. Um, I still feel that way about Joey Bosa too. I feel the way about Khalil Mack also. So I think it's going to be a defensive minded game. Um, I think 3 points is enough for a push. Um, so if I was to bet, because I really see this being a 3 point game, um, I would probably do Los Angeles. On the points just because it's not going to be, they're going to match that. So but yeah, it's going to be a 3 point game. Um, get your field goals ready. You know, the kickers that you boot them up because that's what it's going to be this game. Especially if Justin Herbert is. If Justin Herbert's playing, even at 50%, I think LA, is putting up points. Even with an insane TJ Watt chasing them. But you know, we'll see how this one plays out. Hopefully, Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins scores a touchdown, and I can see some old Baltimore, some old Baltimore people, do their thing on this one though. But I would never pick Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh could be the absolute favorite. They could be a 40-point favorite. I'm still picking against them. I don't care. But but anyway, uh, what are y'all looking forward to for this week? It could be football, it could be anything else.
Well, myself personally, I'm looking for my first win for the team. We're playing Chicago, so I think we have a shot there. It just depends on that defense. If Gus Bradley ever decides to make an adjustment, particularly, what they're going to try and do is run the ball, because that's our biggest weakness right now. But we do get a couple of players back from injury. Um, I don't think it'll be as bad as it was last week. Last week they were very slow start in the offense. And I just don't see Chicago putting up that many points. It will just be going up against a tough defense. But other than that, yeah, I think for me that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully a good game from AR, a bad game from Caleb, a couple of turnovers, and finally get a win on the column there for me. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Look,
Let's see. What am I looking forward to? Another Giants loss. Absolutely. That's going to happen. Um, but I'm looking forward. I want to see a Derrick Henry game, and like we haven't seen him, been fully unleashed yet. So I'm looking forward to him to be that 1-2 punch of him and Lamar just taking over a game. We haven't seen that yet, so I'm definitely looking forward to, especially against Dallas. So let's have that happen. Derrick Henry run for 150, 2 touchdowns. Lamar run for 100, a touchdown too. Let's have that happen.
Um, looking forward to two things. One football, one not football. I am looking forward to the non-football thing. I'm looking at Aaron Judge hitting I'm looking at Judge hitting 3 more home runs this week. That's what I'm looking forward to. Um that's what I'm looking for because we're all Yankee fans here, so I'm looking forward to Judge still lighting it up. Um and the team cementing more and more of their Lord, we need a closer though. But that's another time we'll talk about that one. Um, other than that, I am looking forward to uh Jacksonville actually getting off the schneid too. I know Ben, you don't like that, but um,
No, Spicoli can
I
keep losing, bro.
I know you don't want that, but I'm looking to Jacksonville getting off the schneid, man. I think they I should they shouldn't be two. They should be over two. Honestly, God, they should not be over two. Um, I thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be lighting up last week. I was wrong with that one too. So I look forward to them getting off the snide for this week. Not that they have an easy game, but it just is what it is. But I like I don't know, Ben. I hope we're right on our picks. We gotta catch the loop, bro. We gotta
Yeah,
catch him. We gotta catch up. But
taking some gambles this week for
We
sure.
got work to do. Got some work to do.
it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, Lou's been on fire, bro. Like, I'm not hating. I love that, man. Like, I
God,
absolutely love that.
Detroit let me down.
Like,
Yeah, it's all right. We're gonna start hitting eventually, a little bit more
eventually,
consistently.
eventually.
Just just
But
like just like the Giants eventually will get one win. I just can't see them going without
Okay,
a win.
okay.
that's tough. I mean,
Look, they're playing the Browns. Deshaun and Danny Dimes have exactly the same stats basically at this point. So it's a pick 'em for me. And I feel like the Giants are due. I mean, they did score some touchdowns, so I don't know.
Okay.
I,
my
I'm
thing with
optimistic.
it can happen. Cleveland is beatable. Let's just put it like that. And that's kind of why I feel Jacksonville gets off the snide because I know they're playing against Buffalo, and I know they're playing at Buffalo. Ain't like they're playing Buffalo in the freaking cold either. So I think crazier things have happened. As of last week, we saw crazier things happen. We saw the 49ers lose like that to Minnesota. We saw a team that scored 3 touchdowns lose. So to a team that didn't even score a touchdown. So
Hey,
crazier things have happened.
I'll give you guys an ugly bet. I think probably Carolina covers.
Uh,
Yeah, because I feel like the Raiders big win against Baltimore. It's probably a good spot for a letdown, and the Red Rifle is out there. No more Bryce Young, so hopefully a little bit more consistency on the passing game. So I wouldn't be shocked if they win, but I think they should definitely cover that spread.
7.5, right? Yeah. Um, 7.5. Let us know if y'all agree with that. But to all watch, we appreciate you, we love you. Tell us where we're right, tell us where we're wrong. Um, And hopefully, me and Benny come back next week with better records. um,
Hopefully.
hopefully, better records. But until then, y'all enjoy. Happy Sunday. Enjoy the games. And oh yeah, we didn't talk about that game with Jets and Patriots. Don't need to talk about it. Y'all know what happened. Anyway, um, so yeah, until next week, fellas. I appreciate y'all. Peace.
Peace.